Rejection stings. It cuts deep, shakes your confidence, and leaves you questioning everything about yourself. But let's take a step back and look at rejection for what it truly is. Not a loss, but a lesson. Not an end, but a pivot. Rejection is not meant to break you. It is meant to shape you. It is redirection in its purest form, pushing you towards something greater than what you initially desired. Think about it. How many times in life have you wanted something so badly only to be met with a closed door? A job opportunity that didn't work out, a friendship that faded, a relationship that crumbled. At the time, it felt like a defeat. But looking back, you can see how it all unfolded exactly as it was meant to. Maybe that job wasn't aligned with your purpose. Maybe that friendship was holding you back. Maybe that relationship wasn't meant to carry you into the next level of your life. Every rejection was setting you up for something greater. Now let's bring it back to him. The moment he rejected you, it wasn't a sign that you weren't enough. It wasn't a message that you were unworthy or unlovable. It was a sign that he was not meant to be part of your journey in the way you envisioned. It was life's way of redirecting you toward a path where you become the highest, most powerful version of yourself. Here's the truth most people never understand. Rejection is never about you. It's about the other person's perception, their limitations, their own internal battles. Maybe he couldn't recognize your value. Maybe he was too caught up in his own world to appreciate what you brought to the table. Maybe he was never capable of meeting you at the level you deserved. Either way, his decision is a reflection of where he is, not of where you stand. But here's the most critical part. How you respond to rejection determines everything that follows. You can either see it as a sign that you weren't good enough, or you can see it as the universe clearing space for something far greater. You can either dwell on the loss, or you can leverage the pain to propel yourself forward. Because rejection, if you allow it, becomes your greatest teacher. It forces you to look inward, to reevaluate, to grow. It is in these moments of hurt that you are given a choice. Will you let this define you, or will you let this refine you? Let's break it down even further. When someone rejects you, you suddenly find yourself at a crossroads. One path leads to self-doubt, overanalyzing, replaying every moment, every conversation, every little detail. You wonder what you could have done differently if you weren't pretty enough, smart enough, exciting enough. But this path is an illusion. It's a trap. It keeps you stuck in a place where you believe the rejection was a loss. The other path, that's where transformation happens. That's where you recognize that rejection is an invitation to step into your power, to elevate yourself, to stop seeking validation from someone who couldn't see your worth, and to start validating yourself. Because the moment you realize that your value does not decrease based on someone's inability to see it, you become unstoppable. Think about the most successful people in the world, the greatest leaders, innovators, icons. They all have one thing in common. They were rejected over and over again, but instead of letting it crush them, they used it as fuel. They let rejection refine them, strengthen them, push them towards something better. And that's exactly what you have to do now. Because if he rejected you, it means one of two things. Either he wasn't meant for you, or he wasn't ready for you. Either way, the outcome is the same. You win by moving forward, by growing, by stepping into the person you were meant to be. So what does redirection look like in real life? It looks like taking all the energy you were pouring into him and pouring it into yourself. It looks like focusing on your goals, your passions, your growth. It looks like walking away with your head held high, knowing that this moment isn't the end of your story, it's just the beginning of a much greater chapter. Rejection is redirection. And if you can embrace that truth, nothing, not even him, can hold you back. When someone rejects you, the natural instinct is to seek validation, to wonder what went wrong, to feel the sting of not being chosen. But the truth is, rejection isn't about proving your worth to someone else. It's about realizing that your worth was never dependent on them in the first place. The goal isn't to convince him that he made a mistake by chasing him or trying to win him back. The goal is to become so undeniably powerful, so magnetic, that he can't help but question whether he let go of the best thing that ever happened to him. Becoming unforgettable isn't about changing yourself to fit his standards. It's about elevating yourself to the point where his standards no longer matter. It's about shifting your energy from how do I make him notice me to how do I make sure I never doubt myself again. Because when you start focusing on yourself, something incredible happens. You radiate a confidence, a self-assurance, an energy that is impossible to ignore. Let's talk about what makes a person unforgettable. It's not just about looks. Sure, physical attraction plays a role, but beauty fades if there's nothing beneath the surface. What truly makes a person unforgettable is their presence, their energy, their ability to command a room without saying a word. It's the way they walk with purpose, the way they speak with conviction, the way they carry themselves like they already know they are enough. The first step to becoming unforgettable is elevating your mindset. Stop seeing yourself as someone who was rejected and start seeing yourself as someone who was freed from a situation that was never meant to confine you, freed from a person who couldn't fully appreciate you, freed from a narrative that made you believe you needed someone else's approval to be valuable. When you start seeing rejection as a gift rather than a wound, you take back your power. Next, focus on growth and transformation. The most unforgettable people are the ones who are constantly evolving, constantly improving, constantly pushing themselves toward excellence. This isn't about changing to impress someone else. It's about becoming the best version of yourself for you. Elevate your health, elevate your mindset, elevate your skills. Read more, learn more, invest in yourself. The more you grow, the more magnetic you become. There is nothing more powerful than a person who refuses to settle. When you start treating yourself as a high-value individual, other people start to see you that way too, and this is where the shift happens, where instead of seeking validation from him, you start attracting people who are already in alignment with your value. You start surrounding yourself with those who appreciate you, respect you, and see what he was too blind to recognize. Another key to becoming unforgettable is mastering the art of self-prescription. The world remembers people who are bold, who are authentic, who are unapologetically themselves. When you shrink yourself to fit into someone else's expectations, you blend into the background. But when you step into who you truly are, without fear, without hesitation, you become impossible to forget. Develop your unique style, your voice, your perspective. Stand for something, have opinions, live with passion. When you fully own who you are, people take notice. And let's talk about energy, because energy is everything. People may forget what you said, they may even forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. The most unforgettable people leave an impression because their energy is undeniable. They walk into a room and light it up. They exude confidence, warmth, presence. They don't seek attention, it naturally gravitates toward them. So how do you shift your energy? It starts with what you tell yourself every day. If you constantly replay thoughts of rejection, of self-doubt, of not being enough, you carry that energy with you. But if you shift your inner dialogue, if you wake up every day and remind yourself, I am valuable, I am worthy, I am becoming the person I was meant to be, you start to carry yourself differently. You start to radiate a presence that people can't ignore. And here's what happens when you step into this energy. The tables turn. Suddenly, you're no longer wondering if he's thinking about you, because he is. You're no longer hoping he regrets his decision, because he does. When someone sees you thriving, when they realize that their absence didn't break you but built you, they start to question everything. But by then, something even more powerful happens. You no longer care, because the person you've become is far too busy living a life so rich, so full, so abundant, that the past no longer holds any power over you. There's a force more powerful than words, more impactful than action, and more unforgettable than presence. It's absence. When someone rejects you, the natural instinct is to prove your worth, to stay in their orbit, to remind them of what they lost. But the most powerful move you can make is not to argue, not to beg, not to plead. It is to disappear. People don't appreciate what is always available. It's human nature to take for granted what is within reach, to assume that something constant will always remain. The moment you remove yourself, the moment your presence is no longer guaranteed, the mind begins to shift. That is when curiosity is sparked. That is when doubt creeps in. That is when regret begins to form. Absence is not passive. It is not about sitting in silence, hoping they will miss you. It is an active strategy of reclaiming your power. When you master the power of absence, you are sending a message without saying a single word. I am not an option. I am not waiting. I am not seeking validation. I am choosing myself. And that message is louder than anything you could ever say directly to them. The first step in mastering absence is detachment. When someone rejects you, the emotional response is to cling, to reach out, to find reasons to stay connected. Maybe you convince yourself that being just friends will keep you in their mind. Maybe you continue liking their posts, replying to their stories, making sure they don't forget about you. But every time you do this, you are diminishing your value. You are reinforcing the idea that you are always there, always accessible, always an option. And options are rarely prioritized. Detachment means recognizing that their decision to walk away is their choice and your decision to remove yourself is yours. It means no late night texts, no casual check-ins, no watching their every move on social media. It means allowing silence to do the work that words never could. And here's what happens when you fully embrace this. They start to notice. They wonder why you haven't reached out. They start checking to see if you're still watching their stories. They start questioning if they ever truly knew you, because when someone expects you to chase them and you don't, they begin to question why. Absence creates a vacuum, a space that demands to be filled. When you pull away, when you truly remove yourself, it forces the other person to confront the impact of your loss. And here's the reality. Most people only realize the weight of someone's presence once that presence is gone. But let's be clear. Mastering the power of absence is not about playing games. It is not about waiting around hoping they'll miss you. It is about truly stepping away and focusing on yourself. Because the truth is, the moment you start focusing on your own growth, your own happiness, your own evolution, you naturally become more attractive, not just to them, but to the world. This is where the second step comes in, filling the space you once gave to them with something greater. The energy you were directing toward them, redirect it toward your passions. The time you spent wondering if they missed you, use it to build something meaningful in your life. The emotional weight you carried from their rejection, turn it into the fuel that propels you forward. The most powerful version of you is not the one waiting for a text back. It's not the one replaying conversations in your head. It's the one so immersed in self-improvement, so deeply committed to your own success, that their absence stops feeling like a loss and starts feeling like a blessing. And here's the paradox. When you do this, when you truly embrace your own journey, that's when they feel your absence the most. Not when you post cryptic quotes, not when you fake happiness just to get a reaction, but when you genuinely move forward, when your life becomes so full that their absence no longer affects you. It is in the silence that they begin to hear the loudest questions in their own mind. Did I make a mistake? Was I too quick to walk away? Why aren't they chasing me? And suddenly, the dynamic has shifted, because now they are the ones wondering, they are the ones feeling the loss, they are the ones questioning everything. The power of absence is not about making someone regret their decision. It is about making yourself so valuable, so self-assured, so focused on your own path that their decision becomes irrelevant. Rejection has a way of making you want to prove yourself. It triggers something deep inside, that primal need to be seen, to be valued, to be wanted. When someone rejects you, the immediate instinct is to chase, to show them they made a mistake, to seek their validation, to hold on to whatever connection remains. But chasing is the fastest way to lose your power. Transformation, on the other hand, is how you take it back. When you transform instead of chase, you shift the entire dynamic. You no longer operate from a place of lack or desperation. You are no longer proving your worth to someone who failed to see it. Instead, you step into a version of yourself that is so powerful, so undeniable, that the rejection no longer defines you. In fact, it becomes irrelevant. But transformation is not about pretending. It's not about posting a highlight reel on social media to make them jealous. It's not about crafting an illusion of happiness just to get a reaction. True transformation happens when you stop making them the center of your story and start making yourself the focus. It's about evolving so completely that the person who was once rejected is no longer the person who exists today. The first step in transformation is shifting your mindset. You have to reframe rejection not as a failure, but as freedom. You are not being deprived, you are being redirected. You are not missing out, you are being given an opportunity to level up. The moment you internalize this, the urge to chase disappears. Because why would you chase something that is no longer aligned with where you are headed? Then comes the second step, building yourself into your greatest version. This means taking all the energy you once invested in them and reinvesting it in yourself. Emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, every aspect of your life should become a reflection of growth. Elevate your fitness, master your craft, deepen your self-awareness, develop new skills, explore new experiences. This is where true transformation begins. And here's what happens when you do this. The person who rejected you starts to see the change. They start to notice that you are no longer in the same place where they left you. You are no longer waiting, hoping, or seeking their validation. You have become something more. And that is when doubt creeps in. That is when they begin to wonder if they misjudged you, because nothing shakes a person more than realizing they underestimated someone they once had access to. But the key to real transformation is authenticity. You can't do this for them. If your only goal is to make them question their decision, you are still chasing, you are still giving them power over your actions. The real power comes when you evolve for yourself. When your transformation is driven by self-love, self-respect, and a hunger for a better life, not by the need to be seen by someone who walked away. Growth changes everything. It shifts your energy, your presence, your entire aura. When you are truly thriving, you no longer attract the same experiences, the same people, the same situations. You elevate. You begin to attract those who are on your level, those who recognize your worth without hesitation. And this is where the real magic happens. When you reach a point where their rejection no longer matters because the life you've built for yourself is far greater than what you once sought from them. This is the ultimate shift, when you stop chasing and start becoming. Because when you truly transform, you no longer look back.